Also, speaking of not good, you did not watch Monster Hunter, correct?
That's correct. I didn't get to it.
Okay. So I watched Monster Hunter, which came out in 2020, written, directed, and...
To be fair, I watched it when it came out. I rented it right when it hit the red box.
Ugh. It was written...
So that kind of helped me with being like, I don't want to spend money to rent this shitty movie again.
It's pretty rough. It was written, directed, and produced by Paul W.S. Anderson, the guy who makes most of the previous Resident Evil movies, and stars his wife, as do the previous Resident Evil movies. A bunch of soldiers get stuck in the Monster Hunter world, and they all die except the hot mommy. And then the hot mommy finds someone from the Monster Hunter world, and they team up for an hour, and then they find the other Monster Hunter people, and then the movie ends.
Sometimes there's monsters, but not really.
Yeah, so this thing is... there's certain types of movies, I think, that fall kind of in this category more than just this one. Nobody working on this actually gave a shit about this franchise at all. I think they just wanted to make a movie with monsters in it that was an IP. Because Monster Hunter is already kind of a loose franchise from what I can tell. There isn't a lot of like continuity heavy stuff. It is just a lot of monster fighting in different like subgenres. I have barely looked into it.
I was going to say, how much have you played?
None. None. It's cultural osmosis.
So I did, when Monster Hunter World first came out, I probably put 40 hours into it. But because everybody said, there were all kinds of articles online that was like, if you like Destiny, which I did at the time, I loved it very much, and I was trying to quit that bad habit. They suggested playing Monster Hunter World, and I was like, all right, maybe this will be my nicotine patch. But it really wasn't. It's very, very simple in its design. You go outside and you kill monster, and you bring back consumables or crafting materials to build armor. And then you go back outside and you kill more monster, and you bring back crafting material, and you either upgrade your armor or you do a different set of armor that'll upgrade better eventually. And you just keep doing that, and eventually you are making builds for your character depending on buffs and debuffs and what you're trying to fight against. But it was extremely grindy, way more than Destiny, and it was not very easy. It felt like it should be a party game, like get a friend or two to help hunt monsters. And it was also kind of difficult to change weapons. It was like, there's 15 weapons here, I don't know which one to choose. And I felt stuck with that choice. Maybe I was wrong, but I dipped out pretty quick. So that's my experience with Monster Hunter.
I have basically only just Google searched and seen announcements and stuff. So it just doesn't seem like there's a lot to the franchise, and that's fine. That's whatever. But this movie kind of has to make up stuff whole cloth, and it doesn't even do that really. The only stuff that seems to have anything to do with the pre-established world or characters is like 15 minutes in total. It's 5 at the beginning and 10 at the end, other than a single character who doesn't speak English for the whole movie. It feels like they just wanted to make a big monster movie, and then they said, we can get a very, very popular gaming franchise attached to this, and we'll just run with it. Because this thing...
I must admit that there is depth to the builds for your character between your weapon and your armor, but there's none of that in this movie. They shoot gun at monster.
Yeah. This is it. This movie honestly makes me feel kind of icky. It does a thing that I'm not a fan of. When going to some world, some a different dimension world, whatever. A lot of books or comics or a lot of anime does this. They will have a boring generic character go with you as like your self insert into the new crazy world. And this really just came across like, we need a white lady on the poster, because that's the vibe I got off of it, was like, we need an American white person. It's like, well, one, she's not even American. Well, I think she has dual citizenship, but like, she is not like, Mila Jovovich is, I believe, Ukrainian. So like that, I don't know, man. It was just, none of this feels earnest or careful at all. It just feels like we should put guns in it. And I will kind of treat the one person in this movie, I don't even remember his name, the one like native character, as like a noble savage, which is also a trope I really fucking hate. It just, this feels really weird and kind of gross. Positives wise, Jovovich is fine. I have kind of come around on her performances. I have an appreciation for them. I don't think she's been in a good movie in a very long time, but I think she, if the role fits well, she can definitely be up to the task. And she does a lot of her own stunts here, blah, 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 the usual shtick, which is fine.
I was pretty proud of when you texted me that she hasn't been in a good movie since 98. And I was like, Fifth Element was in 95. And you were like, yeah, that's the one. Like, I was kind of joking around because I didn't think you would like Fifth Element.
I really like Fifth Element.
Really?
Yes.
I
don't know how this movie got a budget. Ron Perlman has the most mailed in cameo on the planet at the end of the movie. And that's about it. There's a big kitty. I like the big kitty character who's just a person, but a cat. And yeah, a bunch of this shit is like rip off Dune 100%. Like it's a giant
Dune came out though.
Well, it rip off of the book. Like it's a big dragon worm thing that goes in the sand, and if you rattle the sand the wrong way, it'll hear you. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? Like the entire movie takes place in one setting, except for the last like 15 minutes. And then they rush through a finale with a big dragon that's barely been set up. And then they go to the real world or back to our world or whatever. It's so dumb.
I remember that too. It felt like it was all mostly on one set.
Yeah. The spider-like character, like monsters in the first half of the movie or so, I don't hate. Some of them have some kind of cool designs. There's some okay-ish sequences of action there. There is one moment in this movie which I remember telling Jacob when I watched this in theaters when it came out. One of the soldiers gets like implanted with a bunch of eggs, and he lifts up his shirt to like show them bursting out of his side, and that was gnarly as fuck. Made me want to burn off my own skin, but that's about it. I don't even think the VFX are very good. The monsters look fine, and everything else is bland and lifeless. It's just, yeah. It commits the worst of the two evils. It's not just bad; it's boring and bad.
Yep. That was how Tekken felt.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bored to tears. Like, there's nothing good. There's nothing enjoyable here.
Yeah, like just for recent comparison's sake, at least with something like Resident Evil, the TV show, most of it was bad, but there was a sense of like kind of intrigue and hope for most of the runtime that it was going to do something interesting. I wasn't bored. I just knew it was going to be bad when it was over. Like it kind of kept
you weren't mad. You were just disappointed.
Yeah, like it was. I knew it was going to be bad, and I had a lot of complaints, and I still have a lot of complaints. I'm sure as hell not going to watch it again. But like, I didn't feel the need to scroll my phone while watching it, and that's a bad barometer for stuff. I know you do, but you do that when we're watching movies in the fucking theater. So that's not a barometer for you. Yeah, well,
that is not true.
You'll go on Reddit when you're watching a TV show.
Most TV shows are garbage.
You'll be watching Mandalorian and you'll go on your phone.
I don't think so.
Resident Evil
was catch Pokemons.
Resident Evil was boring. Halo was somewhere in the same camp of like boring.
Bad.
It was bad, but like there was a handful of things that were okay. I wasn't bored by it. It wasn't good, but
heretic sex.
Yeah, at least there were like boobies. I don't know. Out of the recent, I don't know. There's nothing about this movie that I remembered watching it in the theater, and I remembered everything about it, but none of it stood out. Like I could run the movie through my mind from beginning to end because it's an hour and a half tops.
There's sand and they're talking, and then there's more sand and they're talking.
Yeah. The only real standout is that she's wearing a tank top for most of the movie. That's a win. That's it.
You can look at the poster to get that though.
Wait, that is incorrect. That's an armored tank top. I mean, she was wearing like a wife beater for most of the movie.
She beats her own wife?
I would be willing to bet. Yeah, bad movie, bad and boring. Moving on.